a good chapter. Okay, let me get all set up here. I'm gonna be doing my makeup during the meeting, double tasking. Sometimes you just gotta do that. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started so we can be done and wrapped up by 9. Hopefully Becky can jump on. She was having trouble. There she is. Okay.
Hey, just made it. Sorry.
No, you're fine. We're just getting started. So, okay, let's go to the first question. What came to mind in the first 3 pages? What came to mind in the first 3 pages? I can share first, unless anybody else wants to just go on and do it. In the first 3 pages, what came to my mind is drama. Drama. Because we assume things. Oh, they're telling secrets over there. They're whispering in each other's ear. They're talking about me. Really? Like drama and then transferring our poison. Okay? This chapter is about making assumptions. So on page 64 at the bottom, sorry, I feel like I'm so energetic, like so high right now. I'm just like, so I apologize. Apologize if I'm too much. This
Don't
is who I
apologize. We love it.
Okay. So in 64, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. And then at the top of 65, it is always better to ask questions than to make an assumption because assumptions set us up for suffering. So when we assume somebody's talking about me or somebody thinks somebody's doing something because I assume that's why they're doing it, I'm only putting myself in suffering. Okay. So I love how it gets in this chapter to, instead of assuming, ask a freaking question. Jenny and I just had a conversation a couple weeks ago that I had to brave up and ask her a question. And she told me the reasoning in her heart. And I was like, oh, yes, that makes so much more sense. Okay. So stop assuming and ask those questions. Don't be fearful in asking questions. I have a little something I want to say. When I was in high school, yes, high school, I was a sophomore and I was in FFA and we were in class. And I always said no question is a dumb question. I mean, ask away. But I asked the teacher how to spell BCR in high school. I got made fun of so bad. And she's like, Tennille, VCR. And I said, yeah, how do you spell VCR? She's like, VCR. And it went on and the kids just lost it. I mean, they were a bunch of farmer boys. So, they got a giggle out of it, but they didn't care. But no question's a dumb question. Just ask it. I asked the question and then I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I should have thought about that a little better, Hi, baby. So would anybody else like to share what they got out of the first 3 pages of the chapter?
What I got out of it, the first 3 is, again, we are living the 7 habits at our school. And habit number 5 is seek first to understand, then to be understood. And that is very much about making those assumptions and thinking I know what's happening and what's going on without asking those questions. So that was kind of what I really took from that. And I've already told my students kind of at the very beginning that there are habits that I even need to continue to work on. And habit number 5 is definitely one of them. Because I think I know what's going on, and that's not the case always at all. So I definitely need to work on that seeking first, to understand, then to be understood, which has to do with the assumptions.
What I thought in the first 3 pages is it was like describing me to a T. It was like he was in my life. Okay. So I took like so many notes just on the first question, and I'll try to condense them. But like on page 64 and 65, like the example of when you're walking in the mall and you see a person you like, that person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. Like that has happened to me so many times in my life, I can't even count. And then when they leave me, I replay the situation in my head and I'm like, okay, wait, how did that go for them? How was that for me? And I don't know why I do that, but like we overthink everything, and me especially. I will play by play situations like, oh, that could have gone better, or why did I say that? That was so embarrassing. And I know a lot of us do that, but we try to, and I will even like go as far as trying to predict what will happen. And I don't know if that's the teacher in me, like always wanting to be prepared, but it's like, okay, who might I run into here? And what should I say if I run into them? Because sometimes like when like I'm caught off guard, my mouth just starts going. And so I wrote down like it creates this internal and external, eventually, drama, which is like the mitote that he's been talking about. And it's like, oh, I just never even realized how bad I was about that, about like overthinking everything and play by play situations. And then when it comes down to it, we don't perceive everything the same way as everybody else. So that whole interaction that I might have had with that person at the mall, that I spent so much time like rehashing, probably would look totally different from their perspective. And so like, what's the whole point of me creating this internal mitote, this chaos in my mind? Why don't I just leave it for what it is, leave it at face value? And yeah, so I felt like he was like talking straight to me.
Becky, I love that. That even reminds me of the conversation we kind of had last week of our loved ones, you know, making an assumption of they should know me. They should know what I want. Why do I have to communicate to them and tell them what I need and what I want? You know, but communication is such an important part in our life. Like not even with, you know, social media and inviting people into Beachbody, or even, but with our family and our love, with our kids. Communicate with our kids. How are they feeling? You know, communication is big. Would anyone else like to share what they got out of the first 3 pages or the chapter? It doesn't matter. No? Okay. Let's move on. Wow, we're going to book it through this morning. Let's move on to question number 2. Hold on, baby. Did this chapter change your opinion on something? Where's my book? Did this chapter change your opinion on something? Okay, page 65. Basis of reality. I have stopped assuming how everyone is feeling. Stop spiraling in your own head why you believe they did this instead of that. Like, why are they doing that? Why don't they do this? Like, why do you cook your eggs that way? Why don't you cook them this way? Maybe they like their eggs that way. You know, who are you to tell them how to cook their eggs? Like, I have to respect how I feel and who I am, and not assume everybody feels the same way. Like Becky said, you know, when we cross somebody on the sidewalk and we say hi, you know, and they wink at us or something, they're like, ooh, they think I'm hot. Like, why are they winking? Or they're probably just winking like, hey, have a good day, girl. Yeah. Or got something in my eye. Yeah. Like, don't assume stuff, you know? I mean, you can assume to make yourself feel better. Like, oh, they think I look good. And really, they just have something in their eye. But that is crazy how each conversation is spoken in our head differently. Like each interaction, even, coming down to eating eggs. Like my mother-in-law and my husband got into an argument at Thanksgiving when we were quarantined because she cooked her deviled eggs a different way than he did. And I'm like, really? Y'all are arguing about deviled eggs. Like, who is responsible of the deviled eggs? Dwayne, you're responsible of the deviled eggs. You cook them how you want to cook them. Nobody else tells you how to cook your eggs. Like, sorry, rant over.
I love it.
All right, who else
Okay,
wants to share?
I'm going to jump in just because I'm already unmuted, and then I'll be quiet and let other people share. So for number 2, this change your opinion on something. I always like to throw that question in just because I know there's probably somebody somewhere that had a part in the chapter that maybe it's just kind of something for you to think about. But I didn't really think I was going to have an answer for this one, but I do, because I have always been so bad about questions and assumptions. I don't like, and which is weird because I was a teacher for a while, but I would really hesitate to ask questions if I was confused about something, or just if I like didn't fully understand. And I seriously have like so many examples coming to my mind right now that I'm not going to share a bunch of specific examples to my life, but
Sarah.
I can think of like in an old job that I had where I didn't fully understand what I was supposed to be like the information I was supposed to be conveying. I was in a call center. Like you call in and you're expecting this person on the other end of the phone to know all the questions and all the answers that you have about your life insurance policy. And I had this call that I ended up in tears because I couldn't help this guy. I didn't like fully understand the tax implications of his life insurance policy. And oh man, it turned into like a big ordeal. And had I not asked questions earlier, I wouldn't have put myself in that ordeal. And that's just one of like many, like I can think in school, like when the teacher describes the assignment you're doing and then she goes and sits at her desk and then everybody starts like getting to work and you're like, shit, what were we supposed to do? And like, instead of asking a question, I would like, peek off at somebody else, like, what are we supposed to be doing? And I just always like assumed that was like a weakness, like, or they're going to know that I wasn't paying attention or, all the possibilities. But just becoming like reading this book has helped me become aware of my habits. And yeah, that definitely changed my opinion on like, because I can think of like when I took a motorcycle, I was learning how to ride my motorcycle and I wanted my motorcycle license. And so instead of just going to the DMV to take the test, I went and took the course because I knew I needed more practice. Well, I ended up passing that course, but like by the skin of my teeth. And I should have asked more questions. I should have asked for more practice, and I should stop assuming stuff because it's like, what I mean? I'm like flying by the seat of my pants. And I've just become more aware of that since reading this chapter, that I need to ask more questions and I need to be okay with it because it's not a sign of weakness. I guess maybe that's what's going on. I don't know.
I think that's where I really like that quote on page 69. Like right in the middle, it says, even before others have a chance to reject us, we have rejected ourselves. And like, that's almost what I hear from you, Becky. Just even when you're saying it, you're like, I literally would rather reject myself from asking a question than ask a stupid question. Kind of like what Tennille was saying, like, like with the VCR, it's like, we almost like are so afraid to ask the question because we already think we're stupid for asking it. So why would I even want to ask it? Because I know I'm just going to sound stupid. But in reality, like you guys all heard this, like, well, there's somebody else in the class that probably really needs that question too. And they're afraid to say it. So somebody's got to speak up. And I think that's like, as I get older, like you kind of laugh about it as a kid, but like now that you're older, you're like, man, that's probably so true. How many times has somebody else asked a question? I'm like, thank God they're asking. Like, because I wasn't going to ask, but I needed that answer. But like, it's because we literally have already rejected ourselves or placed ourselves as that's a stupid question, and so we don't even speak up. And I just like, I think that just hearing you talk is like, that's ourselves saying that. That's not the teacher saying that or your coach saying, don't ask questions. I already told you that answer, and I don't know, like just being a coach and like being a coach for as long as I have now, I hear lots of repetition. And I have girls probably daily that say, hey, I know this is a stupid question, but where do I find da 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 da? And I go, listen, it's not a stupid question. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help and guide you so you have somebody to go to ask questions. That's what I'm here for. I was like, please stop apologizing for asking questions. Or like I was at the grocery store yesterday and some lady like apologized for like being in the aisle with me. I don't know. I'm like, why are you apologizing for existing? Like you're grocery shopping just as much as I am. Like, why would you be apologizing? But I think we just reject ourselves so much. We literally apologize for existing, or we feel stupid for speaking up. And this book really kind of made me put a meaning behind that, because now when I see people do it, I'm like, why are you apologizing? Why are you assuming? Why are you assuming that I'm mad at you for wanting to get into the same freezer door as me? Like, it's fine. You know? But yeah, I think COVID has definitely changed a lot in the last year too. Alicia, it's interesting that you say that. Like our communication, and like sometimes I'm like, man, she's in a mask and she already said it 2 or 3 times and I don't know what she said. Can I ask her again? Like what she said? That's one thing that I really have a trouble with, like the masks and like asking questions. And I'm like, what did she say? I'm like, it's kind of interesting, but yeah. So that's one thing that I really like, that quote. I underlined it, and I just thought that was really interesting, to just that we reject ourselves, which is why we tend to not speak up a lot of times.
Where was the quote again? What page?
It's on 69, like right in the middle, the bottom of the second paragraph. Or the first paragraph, I'm sorry. Ooh, bottom of the first paragraph, right before the second paragraph.
Thank you.
Yeah, on page 69, I also had, and this is why we have a fear of being ourselves around others, because we think everyone else will judge us because how we judge ourselves. We need to be building ourselves up rather than tearing ourselves down, so people treat us better. People are going to treat you the way that you treat yourself. So if you walk around and you make a mistake and you're like, oh, I'm so stupid, I shouldn't have done that. Like, your kids hear you say that. Like, your family hears you say that. When my kids say something like that, I'm like, stop right there. Now repeat after me. You are smart. Say it again. You are smart. Like, I don't like, and I probably do it sometimes, you know, I'm like, I shouldn't do this, that was stupid or something, you know, but I try to catch myself and I try to work on my self-development. So I am speaking positive words to myself. And I am, you know, trying to be an example for my kids. If they see you looking yourself in the mirror and saying, oh, look at that belly, or, you know, I don't have definition in my arm, like I can do so much better. No, you are getting up and pushing play. Like, you are working on yourself. Like, you are doing something. So we need to be aware of how we're treating ourselves so others can treat us with respect and love. So that really caught my eye too.
Tennille, I'm so glad you said that, because I have a perfect example of that. At work, I had a coworker, because I am very hard on myself. I know I am, and it's a habit that I've done for 50 years. So it's one that's very hard for me to break. But I had, she's no longer there, but I had a coworker, and I would be very hard on myself, and I would find myself, oh, I don't understand this. Oh, I'm not sure. Oh, I'm not sure. And then I realized, at first I didn't realize it, but looking back, she would treat me the same way. She would already assume that I didn't know what I was doing. And she would try to step in and do things for me because she didn't think I was capable of doing it. And then when I realized that that was a pattern, I thought, whoa, wait a minute. I am perfectly capable of doing my job. I don't need, and I remember one time I got into a discussion with her and I said, I don't need to justify myself to you because I was her superior. And I said, she was everything that was going on wrong with her job that I was calling her on, she was blaming on me. Because of what I wasn't doing. And I said, well, wait a minute. I don't need to explain myself to you. I don't need to justify my job to you. You have no idea what my job's about. And looking back now, it's like, oh my gosh, she did that because I was constantly doing that. I was constantly saying, oh, I just don't know if I can do this. Oh, I'm not sure what to do. And, I would reach out to her as a friend asking for her advice, and I don't do that anymore because it's like, no, I'm in charge. I can do this. I can figure it out. So I'm so glad that you said that because it's true. I mean, she mistreated me because I allowed her to. I gave her permission to say, oh, Jen doesn't know what she's doing. It's okay if you don't do your job because you don't know what she's doing. Yeah, I do know what I'm doing. And so thank you for saying that.
Yeah, could you guys imagine if I was like your guys' coach going like, oh my God, I'm terrible at working out. I don't look right. Like, could you imagine if I just like literally like talk crap or like doubted myself all the time? I mean, of course I have doubts that come into my head, but I can't project those onto you guys. I can't allow those to be put onto you guys because the level that I set is going to trickle down into the team. Just kind of like what you were saying, Jen, if you were her superior and you were giving her that doubt, because you had doubt of yourself and now you're allowing her to see that. So now she's doubting you. And same with me. If I doubted what, I was doing here as a Beachbody coach, you guys would know that. You guys would feel that. You guys would have those doubts as well. And so I know every time I am certain, I am, and maybe I'm still a little scared. I'm still like, I have no idea ideally how we're going to get to that, top coach position, but man, we're going there, like I got to have that confidence in myself that I'm capable of figuring it out. That's the thing too, is maybe I don't know everything. Maybe I don't have all of the answers, but believing you're capable of figuring it out is a totally different mindset than saying I'm stupid or I don't belong here or I don't know what I'm doing. There's a difference in saying, you know what? I can figure it out though. Like that, I think sets a different bar for the rest of the people underneath you. Just like for you guys, it's like, I mean, I know everything, but man, if you come to me with a question, I will figure it out for you. I will find an answer. I will find something to provide for you. And so I think that's really builds confidence, not only for you guys in me, but for me and myself. And then it trickles down and it continues to recycle as well through the team. So just remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to know everything. And maybe your job is really difficult and you do have to kind of think fly and maybe, but I think just having that confidence and being able to figure it out, she will now have confidence in you that says, when I come to her with a problem, she can figure it out. She will provide me for an answer. Maybe she doesn't know it, but she's capable of figuring it out. So you got to believe that in yourself, and then other people will believe that in you too.
Does anybody else want to share? We have some non-sharing going on a little bit this morning.
Not allowed.
I'll be honest, I didn't read the chapter beforehand.
Oh, that's all
Lack
right.
of time management. So, but I will share a little bit. I love what Jenny said about just being capable of figuring it out. Now that I have a different lifestyle, I've been assuming a lot of stuff too. Just like people not inviting me places, like, oh, is it because I don't drink anymore? And like my birthday's today. So that's like even so like even, I think just like second guessing myself, but like I am capable of figuring it out. Never done it before, but I will do it. and just starting with yourself with confidence, you gotta have it first so that others around you see it. But I do think the assumption thing causes chaos and drama. Like, why are we doing that to ourselves? So I'm so glad I showed up, even though I didn't read the chapter, because it's exactly what I need to hear. Like, I'm just putting stuff in my head because of rejection. Like, I'm already rejecting myself. But it's like, no, stop. None of this is going on. Like, quit creating it. It's wild what our mind can do, especially when we're not confident. So, yeah, build yourself up. It starts with you, and everybody else will respond accordingly. So,
And oh, go ahead, Alika. I'm gonna go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, I like understanding why we do things, you know what I mean? Not just like that we do them, but why. So on the bottom of page 67 and the top of page 68, it just talks about like how our mind works and why we make these assumptions and answer these questions. And it's really to provide comfort and a peace of mind, you know what I mean? So I think it's really empowering to me to hear like him refer to this as a habit, because I'm such a believer in habit change and studying habits and how to implement that, and how we're all very capable of learning how to change habits in our lives. So that's really empowering to me. And it's also very helpful to read this to know that like it's quote unquote not my fault. Like my brain is defaulted to this way. And because it's defaulted to this way, that's why I've built the habit, you know what I mean? But now that I'm aware of it, I'm aware of the habit, I'm aware my brain works this way, so I can now like learn how to take the steps to turn my black magic to white magic, as he would say.
Does anybody else want to share, or can we jump to number 3? Would that be okay? All right, so number 3 is, how can these agreements or codes of conduct, I heard him use that phrase in the book, transform your life or help transform your life? So I said a little bit earlier about becoming more aware of our habits. And so that was like the number one thing I thought of with that question. But I wanted to point out, it's actually on the back of your book. I think it's a review from another author. It's like towards the bottom on the very back. He says, in the tradition of Castaneda, Ruiz distills essential Toltec wisdom, expressing with clarity and impeccability what it means for men and women to live as peaceful warriors in the modern world. And I just loved like that review of it, because, as I'm reading this, I'm thinking like all this in my head, but I didn't really put it into words. But I just love that, like all these like Toltec wisdoms who were, an ancient people, they were like so brilliant and wise. And I remember saying that on the first call, but just how we can use this book to teach us how to be like, have inner peace and be a peaceful warrior at the same time, but in this modern world that we live in. So I love this book, and I love how it's opening up our minds and making us think about some of our habits. And yeah, I mean, definitely use all of this to help transform your life. So I'd love to hear from any of you what you thought.
So I will share. So I'm going to go a little deep here. Not maybe out of your comfort zone, but just stay with me. It's okay. So I love on page 68, you can't force love. It's either there or it's not. So I remember as a kid, like having my boyfriend, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with him. Like, why doesn't he love me back? Like, why did he cheat on me? Like, I love him. Why doesn't he love me? Like as a little girl, I was so confused on how I felt about a boyfriend and why they didn't feel the same. My heart was broke, like, so I thought that was very interesting, like how it mentioned you can't force love. Oh, it's on page 70. We don't need to justify love. It is there or not there. Real love is accepting other people the way they are without trying to change them. Like, how many times in your life, or maybe you have had one boyfriend and one like, that's fine too, but like, how many times am I like, oh, he'll change for me? Like, he'll change. He'll stop smoking. He'll stop drinking, or he'll stop going out with his friends and spend time with me. He'll change. No, they are who they are. You know, they were brought up by, in their lifestyle, in the way they are. It was in chapter 1. I don't know. They were imprinted, you know, when they were young. So you can't change people. Yes, I was going to share the boyfriend example. But talking about that, I'm going to go into this on page 68 down at the bottom. When kind of we were talking about last week, how it says, we have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. Okay. I wrote down sex. Yes, I did. Because that's very important in your lifestyle. For your husband, for you, okay, that connection. And it was very hard for me to communicate on what I like, what I don't like. Don't touch me there, touch me here. But how does your husband know if you don't communicate that with him? Okay, don't lay there and just act like you're enjoying it. I've done that, you know, I'm sure we all have. Yes, intimacy is a big part of your relationship. And sometimes it's hard to communicate that, you know, I mean, sometimes it's like goofy, but yet you're like embarrassed, like, how do I talk about that? But oh my gosh, how amazing would it be at the end of it being like, wow, I communicated and he really brought it. Like, I really enjoyed that. Like, I am so glad I opened up my mouth and told him what I wanted or what I liked. And that way at the end, I wasn't just like, he got what he wanted. No, get what you want too. Okay, communicate that. That is so important. It can be uncomfortable, you know, but if you're with somebody, you should have the confidence and the love to be able to share that. Okay. All right. Anybody else want to share?
I just want
Well-
to share, Tennille, that I love that you always bring sex into topics because it does, like, it makes me feel like a little giggly, but you're preaching, you're saying all the right things. So thank you for saying some of the hard stuff to talk about.
This is who I am. This is what you're going to get. Would anybody else like to share what they got from this chapter?
Oh, hopefully you can hear me.
Bethany, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. Kind of going like with like what Tennille was saying, like page 72, like that second paragraph, it's like finding your voice, but that knowing that everybody has the right to say like yes or no to you. And then in turn, everyone has the right to ask you for like something or ask you questions, and you have the right to say yes or no. My dad, I was super bad about asking questions as a kid. I felt stupid if I didn't get something the first time, and everybody else seemed to, like Becky, you were saying earlier, you know, so I wouldn't ask questions. Then I'd go home and I'd complain about not being able to do my homework or like not understanding. And so my dad would just like, ask a question. Like the worst someone's going to tell you is no, or they're not going to answer it. And that's on them. That's not on you. And so I slowly got better. It's still something that I'm continually working on every day. But I think also being aware, like people, like they get to ask you questions too. And that you have to allow them that, but that you can say no. That was something like when I first started teaching, I felt like anytime somebody asked me to do something, it was like, oh, I have to say yes because I'm the new teacher and like that's just what you do. And yeah, I'll help with that. Yeah, I'll come help you. I don't need to do my thing. Like And then I'm staying 2 hours later at work because I didn't get my stuff done because I was helping someone else. But so learning to say no, that saying no is okay. And then I think the other part that really stuck with me that I'm trying to work on is that habits take time. It takes time to make them, it takes time to break them, and that, you know, being aware of that. So for right now, I'm going to continue to make assumptions, but being aware that I'm making an assumption and saying, like, acknowledging that, like, oh, I just made an assumption that that's what they meant or that's what they want, and then going and asking for clarification that right now like, that's okay, like that's going to happen. So this chapter was, it was way shorter than I feel like the others were. So at first I was like, oh my gosh, like, does he really have anything to say? But yeah, he did. He did it. So
Bethany, I like that you mentioned like habits are gonna take time because we just want like an instant fix. But you're right, like we got to give ourselves grace and just recognizing that we're recognizing it, is definitely gonna be the first step. So thanks for that reminder.
And that is, it's part of our transformation, mind, body, soul, spiritual. It's all a transformation, and I like how it's like wrapping up. Like at first you got to be aware of what you're saying, think before you speak, and then you got to communicate it and you have to turn it into a habit. Like this book is all falling together on things that we need to work on to improve ourselves and to improve our lifestyle and who's around us, and how we talk to people and how we feel about ourselves. And I'm so thankful that you ladies are showing up and you're here to communicate this, because we're all trying to become the best version of ourselves. And how cool is it to do it together? That's so empowering. So thank you ladies for showing up. Would anyone else like to share this morning?
I think it's pretty much the only reason I stick to it. I mean, let's see. Like, I just think about like where I was when I first started, and I'm like, had I not had people to join me over the years, I would never be where I am. I would never have done or gone as far as I have without everybody that's kind of been included all along the way. And that's what I would like. I was talking to Elika and Tennille yesterday, and we were joking because we were like, oh, doesn't everybody get up at 8 a.m. to join a book club on Zoom? Like, that's not everybody's normal Sunday. Like, but I love that it's our Sunday. I love being different. I always have in my entire life. Like when everybody's going right, I've always been the one going left. Like, I'm like, ooh, everybody's doing that. I'm not doing that. I just always have loved being different. And I think that like this right here, like we have to recognize is so different than what a lot of people are doing. And that is creating a habit for us too. Like this is all part of the process. And like, it's just really cool to see you guys grow too, and to be part of the growth in it. I don't know. It's just really cool to like kind of reflect back on for a second.
I just have 2 comments. I didn't get to read everything because Alicia's going to make fun of me because I'm like, I'm just listening today and I'm not going to talk. I didn't get to read everything with everything going on, but just listening to you ladies, like one, I sent in the Sit and Sip chat a book. If you have trouble saying no, it's by Sarah Knight. It's called Fuck No. And she literally talks about teaching yourself to say no. And that it's okay to say no, because if it puts you out in any way, makes you uncomfortable in any way, if you are sacrificing yourself to make someone else happy, she really talks about saying no. So I have really put that into my life a lot, because if somebody asks me to do something, okay, well, maybe I can't do it today, but hey, I can do it tomorrow if tomorrow is okay for you. And if they're like, no, I really, I'm sorry, then I can't. I used to be the person that would totally sacrifice myself to make someone else happy and would put myself out, like Bethany said, put myself behind because I was trying to help somebody else out. And then I was the one that was feeling the negativity from it. So if you have trouble with that, read that book. I listened to it on Audible. I actually like listening to it because she like read it, and it's very, I think listening to somebody else read it to me really like let it sink in, because just her emphasis and the way she spoke to me, it's kind of like how Jenny reads her post to people. Like you have to hear it in somebody else's voice, not your own voice in your head reading it. So totally read that book. The other thing about like how people see you, I went back and forth yesterday about whether or not I would post my workout, because I did my workout in my son's hospital room. He was asleep the entire time. Like I was really quiet, but it was like, people are probably going to judge me and be like, oh my God, why did you do that? Like, you shouldn't do that. He's in the hospital. But I asked him, I'm like, dude, I have so much anxiety and stress right now. Do you care if I do my workout in your room? And he's like, I don't care, because he knows that it helps me. So I just got to that point. I was like, you know what? I don't give an F. I am posting it because this is what helps me. And maybe somebody else needs to know that that's okay. I wasn't being selfish. It was helping me mentally to be able to keep in my habit and to keep that going, to be there for him, because I felt so much better after that. I was able to then go back and focus on him and be like, all right, buddy, we got to get you up. We got to get you moving. It feels so much better to get up and moving instead of us just sitting here in this hospital room and doing nothing. So that has probably been something that I've noticed more out of this book, is like, I just don't really care about people judging me anymore. Like, I'm going to be me. And you guys have probably seen the shift on my social media of like, I don't care. Like, if you don't like me for me, then you don't like me. I'm not going to be somebody to try to make everybody else happy or to fit my circle, you know, my square in their circle. My square is not going to fit in your circle. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm me. I'm Tessa, and this is me. I'm loud. I'm proud. I'm probably too much for some people, but I just don't really care anymore. And this book, and like, for as simple as it is, because I seen that in the chat, like how mind-blowing this book is to make me really realize, like, I, for a long time, have not been my true self, because I'm always looking at, like, I serve on the fair board for our fair, of like, oh my God, if people see that and I'm in the community and what they're going to think about me. But you know what? Most people, if they know me in real life, they know who I am, and they know that if I'm trying to not be that person, and I mean, at work, it's probably cost me a promotion or two, but I don't really care, because people I work with like me, my customers like me. I don't really care if some stiff in a suit someplace else doesn't like me, because I'm me and I'm here, and that's take it or leave it, I guess. I'm gonna sip my tea, pinky out now.
Tessa, I'm so glad that you said that, because you know, it's funny, even just hearing you say it, it's like we assume what people are going to think about you working out in a hotel room or in a hospital room. And it's like, but really, your people here are like, damn, did you see Tessa working out at the freaking hospital? Like, and I didn't even want to go out to my garage and work out. Like, oh my God, like, like what we assume people are going to think is, we're projecting that onto ourselves. And that could have almost stopped you from doing what you know you need to do, which is release that tension, release that anxiety, and work out in the freaking hospital room. I mean, I was sitting there watching it and I was like, Mike, look, she's working out in the hospital room. Look at her. Like, I was bragging on you, not being like, oh my God, I can't believe she's doing this, you know? So one, remove that assumption of whatever people think, because it doesn't matter what they think. We're not going to take it personally, even if they do think that, right? Like, even if they do think that, that's on them. That has nothing to do with you, your goals, your family, your situation. They don't know. They don't know what it's like sitting there where you're at. You had to do what you had to do. And it has nothing to do with them liking it or not liking it. And that's what I love about this book. Like, if you guys don't feel empowered by reading this book, I don't know what you're reading, because I feel super empowered by saying, I don't care what you think. I don't care what you assume. I'm not going to think about what you think. I'm only going to do what I know I need to do, what's best for me, my situation, and my family, period. Like, ain't nothing else affecting that. And like, that is super empowering to me, to remind myself that I don't have to care what they think. I don't even have to think about what they think. Like that dream that they talk about in this book of like creating that dream, and that dream just goes on and on and on to the point where you go, wait, that's not real. Like, I literally just made all of that up for no reason. And instead I could have been using those thoughts for positive, reinforcement to myself, and I wasted it spending it on here. And so this book has just really been empowering to my mind. Release that negative thoughts, release those people's projections, like let it go and just ask myself, what do I want? What is best for me right now? Not what does Mike want? What does Derek want? Like, what is best for me and my family, considering them, but like, it's just very empowering to know that you did that you went and you worked out because it was what was best for you. And I'll tell you right now, you inspired our entire team. No one on this team thought, I can't believe she did that. And if anybody did, they're obviously not on this team because they're not moving in the right direction. So they can suck it. So anybody that was on this team or knows you or knows that situation, man, it's exactly what you needed. And it's really cool to see you do it.
And that was the funny thing, because I sat and I debated, I thought about it, and then I was like, you know what? I've been here for 3 days. And you know the people that I talked to? I had very few people outside of this group message me or even text me and talk to me. About the only other ones I did was Lynette. But other than that, like other friends that you have that are your friends on social media and Facebook, the people that I had that were messaging me and asking how I was doing, how Caleb was doing, what needed to be done was this team, this group, these ladies. And even when I asked Jeremy, like I literally had him on the phone at 5:45 in the morning, Friday morning. And I was like, I need you to bring my track and I need my ball. And as ridiculous as he probably thought that I was, you know what he did? He packed that damn bag. He brought me a workout outfit. He brought me my track. He brought me my ball. He brought me my Energize. He brought me 2 pairs of workout shoes because he didn't know which ones I would want to match my outfit. But like, but he knew that ask, I needed it. And he brought it. And I was like, he's like, where are you going to do it at? And I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'll do it in the room if I have to. But he knew that that was going to help me. And like, I love that man. He puts up with my shenanigans. But I mean, he was fully like, he knows what my workouts do for my anxiety level. And he knows the anxiety that I have when the kids are in the hospital just because of past experiences. But I've worked a lot on my personal development. And I would say me probably 2 years ago would not be in the position I am now to be like mentally be able to do that. But I mean, you guys have inspired me to encourage me. And I'm like, man, I see you guys doing your workout. And I was like, literally like itching yesterday. And I'm like, I got to do this. I got to do this. Well, what are people going to think? You know what? I really don't give a shit what people are going to think because I have to do this. I was in the middle of a workout and the nurses came in to do his vitals and they're just like, get it, girl. And I was like, I just looked at the one, I'm like, the fitness center was closed. And she goes, hey, improvise. And that was even in the back of my mind, like, oh my God, his nurses, what if somebody comes in and they see what I'm doing? What are they going to think? And I'm like, you know what? I don't care because I need this. And it's one thing that they preach down there is like, take the break, go find something, go do a walk. And just that entire hospital down there, I can't say enough about the nurses and the people. They are just so, so special. But yeah, they just full encouragement all the way around from you guys and them. And I'm living this IDGAF life now. And I love it. It's nice.
And Tessa, I just want to say with that, it's like we understand what that exercise does for us. And when we don't have it, it's just all that buildup energy has nowhere to go. And if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of our little ones. So I'm really sorry to hear about Caleb. I don't know what happened. I missed something somewhere, but I did see all the stuff that was sent and everything to you. So I apologize for that.
Oh, no, you're fine. It was.
I have no idea what's going on, but I'm glad that you did what it is that you needed to do.
Yeah, we didn't realize how sick he was. He actually, so he got so he's had trouble with his appendix before. It inflames. We do liquids. We kind of settle down. It goes away. It's fine and done. Well, this time it had got inflamed. He actually got like a poop ball, as weird it is, got stuck in the appendix, and it had nowhere for the bacteria or any buildup to go. So it actually ruptured his appendix, and then it caused a really bad abscess. So he was like severely bad infection through his whole abdomen. He did not even present it like that. It wasn't even when they opened him up yesterday for surgery, they didn't even realize how bad it was until they got in there. So will probably be down there till at least Wednesday, Thursday. He has a tube in. He can't eat or drink anything yet. So I'll be going back down today. But I just prayed so hard, like it could have went so worse. But I tried to think to the positive. But I appreciate all you ladies. I appreciate this book club, because I think even just reading this book, like things happen in our life when they're supposed to happen in our life. And just having this book to even read, to reflect on it, like for Becky and Tennille and you guys to bring that in, and for me to even have the book, I don't even know what I would even do without the book. So I greatly appreciate it. And you ladies, I love you all.
Can we get a picture? Yeah. We usually do it before the second question, but I forgot. Tessa, do you got it? Did we get one? Yeah.
Here, let me take a boomerang. We haven't done one of those yet.
Oh, that'd be fun.
I realized I was talking and counting down and I was muted. Sorry. I am so bad at that.
Okay, ready?
Derek, you're in. Okay, so boomerang. So ready, 1, 2, 3.
My foot was moving when I was doing it. I'm like, you can't even see my foot, but I'm moving it.
Grooving from head to toe, girl.
That's right. No.
Done?
Yeah, that's super cute.
You done with this?
Okay.
Well, if nobody else wants to share, we'll jump off and jump into the next chapter and meet next Sunday. Sound good?
And
Thanks.
Tessa, I'm going to keep Caleb in my prayers for you. I'm just glad that you guys got it all figured out. And his appendix is out now then, right?
Yes, it is out, gone,
Okay.
done.
Okay,
Don't have to worry about that no more. They took that
good.
out.
Well,
So-
good.
Hey,
Well, I
I
would,
just,
oh,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Nicole, go ahead. I
That's
didn't mean to
okay. No, I was just going to say, I'll keep him in my prayers for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And you, Mama. And you.
I was just writing it in my book and I saw that next Sunday is Valentine's Day. Should we do anything special for our get together? Any Valentine's Day specials, like dress in pink or
We want to,
something
yeah.
cheesy like that?
Let's
Yes.
do some red, because I know some of you girls don't like that pink.
Yeah, let's do red. That's a good idea, Elika.
Yeah, awesome. So pink and red. And if you have red or pink lipstick. Yeah. Oh, that'd be fun.
Lipstick on a Sunday. Woo!
Yeah.
Get that communication going in that bedroom.
Too much communicating, but no.
That's fun. All right, ladies, we'll see you next Sunday. Thanks. Bye.
Happy birthday, Brittany.
Thank you. See you guys
Happy
later.
birthday.
Bye.